How many of you are aware of the value of meditating, of exercising, and also personal development? Great, thank you. How many of you are aware that although you know that it's good, exercise, personal development, meditation, no matter what you do, you just don't have the time in order to accomplish all of those things? Okay, I'm wondering if everybody's telling the truth, because that's quite a lot. I want to acknowledge you guys for coming out tonight, for taking time away from your families, the energy it took to get here. And it's my commitment and purpose tonight that you will leave here with something that you can take away, and if you choose to, implement tonight, tomorrow, and quite frankly, the rest of your life. For the past, when I was figuring out what I wanted to do in life, I went to school to become a social worker because I always wanted to help people. For 13 years, I worked in the mental health field. Later, I got my license, as Ryan said. After I got my license, I really wanted to figure out what made people tick. And I got tired, honestly, for working for everybody else. So I went on a limb and I started my own private practice as a coach. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is, look, I might not share anything relatively amazingly new. And yet, if you pay attention, I can promise you that after leaving here tonight, you will have more opportunities to live more fully, more enriched, and in less time. Did everybody get the handout? You guys need any? You'll probably want part of the handout. As I mentioned earlier, my passion was not only to understand what makes people tick, but what makes me tick. And I started researching, reading books, working with people, taking notes, and I've come across 4 distinct categories that for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, when I practice it, I am more present, more engaged, and more productive. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. And you'll get to choose whether you feel that you want to incorporate it or not. But in the end, I'm so excited just for the opportunity to share this, that even if all you do is hear it, I can go home a happy man. So with that being said, it was about six months ago. I was overwhelmed. I was exhausted. But it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense because I didn't have a boss to report to. Relationships were fine. Money was okay. I had my own house. I had my own car. But I was still overwhelmed. I wasn't working 40 hours a week. In fact, I was working less and earning more, and I was still overwhelmed. And I'm like, what is going on? And so if you know me, you know that I am a perpetual learner. I want to learn. I want to figure things out. So what did I do? I did what most people do. Go to the internet. I researched every possible thing you can imagine, from taking medications to herbal supplements. People that know me personally would know things like that I have an ice bath in my house, in my garage, that I actually do what they call, cryotherapy, and I'll actually get in the ice bath just so I can feel the endorphins, but that still wasn't working. I ran, I did all these things, yoga, spirituality, almost anything you name, I did it. But it just wasn't working. I thought maybe if I did a little more endurance, maybe if I wanted to run a marathon. Maybe that would be it. But yet, that still wasn't it. So I was on this quest. I don't know if you've had the experience, but I trust that you have. When you're on a search for something, you're seeking something out, and then all of a sudden there's something that's like so poignant that it's like, are you serious? That's the answer? My answer was started by a quote. And the quote was by Aristotle. And Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but it's a habit." And that really got me thinking, because as I was driving over here, I even thought about this. Most of us are Toastmasters, right? We get up here and maybe we give a speech. I give a speech. Somebody gives me an evaluation, says, "Hey, Mark, you should try this way." Somebody over here says, "Hey, Mark, you should try that way." Well, who's right? This person? That person? Who's right? The Democrats? The Republicans? Who's right? For everything I found, there was an opposite opinion of that way is not the right way, this way is the right way. And I was looking for an answer, like the end-all, be-all. So what I decided to do was, okay, I'm just going to take this quote, and then I'm going to start completely from ground zero, wipe everything away, and ask myself, okay, forget what everybody said. What key aspects that if I, like Aristotle stated, if I would do consistently on a regular basis, would I find quality of life, meaning? And so here's what I came up with. Four distinct categories. Now, there's nothing really novel about these, but for me, it's simple. It's only 40 minutes every single day. And if you really look at some of these things, you'll find that, in fact, I challenge you. This wasn't in my speech, but I decided to bring it out here. If you can find an aspect that you cannot put in this category, let me know and I'll rewrite my entire speech. I've thought this through and through and through, and this is what I firmly believe. So, number one, you're going to think like, well, duh, but it's important, is movement. Movement, right? I'm not talking about exercise necessarily. That might be your thing. But movement. How many times do you, like me, say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to go jogging. Bright and early in the morning. I'm going to do it. The alarm clock goes off. Nah, tomorrow. No, tomorrow. No, I don't feel good. But here's the beauty of this. It's only 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And it can be whatever you want. I don't care if you're old. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair. I don't care if you run triathlons. We all can do something to move our body, because if we don't move our body, we don't have energy. If we don't have energy, well, we don't have a life. We don't have anything. If you don't have energy, you can't do things that are really important to you. So it really doesn't matter what it is. It could be stretching. Sometimes in my office, between clients, I was like, wow, that was a really intense conversation, and I feel really, okay, I need to shake it off, and just shake my body. And even in that, the physiology shifts just in 10 minutes. I'm not trying to eat the whole elephant in one bite like I've done in so many other areas of my life. It's one bite at a time. Because like Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. So it doesn't matter. Even if you only have 10 minutes. For me, if I know I don't have that checked off my list, I'll walk instead of drive to a fast food place. I'll take the stairs, which is kind of contradictory, but at least I can check off that movement piece. Take the stairs. Even if you are lying in bed, I used to work in hospice, and I'm not going to go into that, but I used to work in hospice. If people didn't move when they were in bed rest, they would turn rigid and start to develop like rigid muscles, even stretching. Everybody can stretch. Whatever, put your hands up like this. That's all you need to do, and you'll start to feel different. As long as you do it as much as you possibly can. Movement. The next one, stillness. Stillness. What is stillness? My dad's pretty still right now. I don't know if he's fallen asleep because he's probably heard this before. That's my dad right over there. If you'll notice up here, right over here, this is movement. It's getting your body active. It's getting some energy flowing. But yet at the same time, if we don't stop, slow down, and do pretty much nothing as humanly possible, void of stimulation, void of doing, going, creating, which I like to do. But here's the thing. Our brain is like a muscle. Anybody that's done any type of exercise and they want to develop it knows that they got to push it and then relax and recover. Relax and recover. So again, if I'm at my office, if I'm at home, I literally just shut my eyes, give my brain a break. Put the world on pause. Turn off your cell phones. Turn off your notifications. Turn off the TV. Be with you. Because so often, our culture is saying, hey, you got to do more, you got to create more, you got to have more. For what? And I'm not saying that's all bad. Everything in moderation, everything in balance. Here's the thing. If you want to get the most out of it, don't just pick and choose. Because check this out. This one, how many of you guys in here are really avid exercisers? Okay, of those people that are avid exercisers, is it harder for you to be still? Sometimes it is. It's harder. Sometimes people, all they want to do is just be still, and not do anything, not have any movement. That might be your thing. For example, if I was working with somebody on a one-on-one basis, I say, great, how often do you do movement? Oh, I do it every single day, and I'm doing this, and I do it 3 times a day, and I'm like super pumped and all this stuff, and I was like, fantastic. What about when you spend time just for yourself? Well, I mean, that's kind of stupid. I don't really need to do that. Oh. Well, would you be willing to try it and see what happens? Give your mind a break. Because most of us, the only time our mind gets a break is when we sleep. And if we haven't processed everything we need to process during the day, it's still working at night. Welcome nightmares, or stress, or waking up with anxious thoughts in the middle of the night, and you can't go back to sleep, and your whole world is a mess. Stillness. Being with you. Putting everything on pause. Because here's the paradox. Here's the paradox. In my search, I bought this book. It's called One Moment Meditation. If we don't take time to rest and recover one of our most important faculties, we will get less done, feel less content, and will be constantly under more stress. In the book, Rumi, a Sufi poet, said it best. He said, "A little while alone in your room will prove more valuable than anything else that could ever be given to you." Now, some of these things that I might say is like, I don't buy that. The invitation is just to try it, see what happens. Anything that we do that's new, brand new, if we're honest, it's a little uncomfortable because it's new. What am I going to find here? What am I going to experience it? Am I going to like it? Am I going to enjoy it? Stillness. The third is one that I particularly like. Before I go there, no, let's go there, is cultivate. Cultivate. The definition of cultivate is to grow, to develop, to raise up. This one I don't struggle with that because I'm always cultivating more knowledge about this and that and how this intervention, and I'm always cultivating. But what you'll see, little teaser, I'm not very good at the fourth one. And so I'm working on that because I know that's also helpful too. So cultivate. If you spent 10 minutes, only 10 minutes every single day, just 10 minutes on something you want to develop. Maybe it's a new dance move. I tried that didn't work. Maybe it's reading a book. How many of you guys have books that you guys never get around to? Because I implemented this every day as much as possible, I'll spend 10 minutes reading a book. 10 minutes. 10 minutes over time creates a mountainous of volume. For example, did you know that if you spent 10 minutes every single day for an entire year, that would be 60 hours? 60 hours. And I have a theory that most of us have a trouble not actually, let me rephrase, most of us have, if you're like me, have a trouble getting started on something. But we can always get started if there's a time limit of only 10 minutes. So if you thought about it, what would you want to cultivate? Maybe it's a deeper relationship. Maybe it's a new skill. Maybe it's more knowledge on how to speak more effectively. It doesn't matter. It can be anything that you want to grow and develop within yourself. Cultivate. As I've been doing this, I've read more books than I ever have, and I'll tell you what, if I sat down and said, okay, I'm going to read a book by next week, for me, it's not going to happen. Why? Because it's way too long of a stretch. I need bite sizes, but I can do it 10 minutes at a time. And I was like, wow, I read that book pretty fast, but I really didn't. It was all the same, but it was just broken up. What would be possible in your life that if you only spend 10 minutes a day, could you cultivate and be proud of that? What would be possible? Because remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not what does it say? Is not an act. That's what I thought I said, but it didn't make sense. An act, but it's a habit. Okay, let's go to the next one. Contribution. Contribution. To contribute means to be of service, to focus outside of yourself. If you look at it, I was pretty good, and this is transparency. I'm pretty good at cultivating. In fact, I cultivate so much that sometimes I neglect things that maybe I shouldn't because I'm focused on me. I'm focused on, I want to learn this thing because if I don't know this technique, maybe that, all these stories we have, and we all have these stories. What stories do you have? Contribution. Contribution is anything focused outward. See, because when you look at cultivate, it's everything I want to build, I want to grow, I want to. But contribution is so much different. It's about focusing out there. And it could be whatever you want it to be. It could be paying for somebody's drink. It could be actually being so present with somebody about what they're going through because your intention is such that you're not interested in making your own point. You just want to give, to be of service to somebody else. In fact, I had this on my little checklist once. And I was going up the street in Redlands where I work, and I was walking with a friend, and there was a car that was stalled. And this is a little embarrassing, but I was like, somebody else will take care of it, whatever. And then I was like, oh, I still have my contribution thing to check off. So I ran across the street, I pushed the car, and after I got done, I felt really good. Because we all want to give, but sometimes it's not easy to remember because we want to go and do whatever it is we're up to. A couple of times, instead of giving people that worked for me what they actually earned, I would say gratitude bonus. Thought it was pretty cool, and it felt good. And it doesn't take a lot of time, 10 minutes. These are all the quadrants that, for me, make a good quality of life. And these are all things that if you really look at, we should be doing on a regular basis. Like, for example, right here, this is focused on ourself. This is focusing on other people. And this is all a continuum, right? So if you go to the next one, like this. So you might do super well in exercising. Fantastic. Maybe you don't need to work and grow that part of yourself as much. Maybe your is being still. Maybe you contribute, but you don't cultivate anything for yourself. So where do you lie on this? And what would be possible if you just spent 10 minutes every single day? Because here's the deal. I'm not telling and I'm not suggesting, hey, this is what you got to do. You got to do 4 reps of this and you got to run around backwards, do cartwheels, and then you'll have a good life. I don't care what it is, as long as it fits in that category of movement. It doesn't matter. You choose. It could be bowling. It could be doing the snake or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but whatever it happens to be for you could be absolutely anything. If you're stillness, you could do meditation. You could pray. Whatever it happens to be for you. And so for me, it's not about specifically it's the categories. You get to pick the activity. And you would be surprised about how much more quality of life you'll have if, like Aristotle was true. I know it has been for me. So here's part of the important thing for me. Like, how do we track our progress? From the very beginning, I said, look, I try all different things because I don't know what's going to work for me. So here's, let you guys into a little of my neuroses. Track progress in a way that works for you if you choose to take this on. This is the way I first started it out. This is an Excel spreadsheet. I got it on my phone. I put categories, and I was going to track off every single day what I was going to do. Right? Check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark. And I started missing. I started falling off. And I'm like, I don't want to fall off. So what am I going to do? Okay, so I'm going to try something else. Perfect. Every time I come home, I'm going to take one off, and then I'm going to be able to look at it, and I'm going to say, I didn't do it. Okay, I'm going to do better. That still didn't work. For me. Maybe it works for you. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it works for you. So here's, anybody that knows me knows this is what I have on my phone now every single day. I have a quadrant, right? I have movement, I have stillness, I have cultivate, and I have contribute. Because I look at my phone more than I look at anything else. And if you want to remember something, make it front of mind consciousness. Every time I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, Ryan texted me. Oh yeah, but I still have to do this thing, right? And so it helps me become aware of what I still am committed to doing and I haven't yet. Whatever it happens to be for you. So here's what it really boils down to. whatever it is that you do. Do it. But do it in excellence because your life and the life of others depend on what you repeatedly do. On what you repeatedly do. So here's the question. What would be possible in your life if you only took 10 minutes for each category every single day? You get to pick what activity, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be the full 10 minutes. What would be possible in your life if you focused on becoming excellent? Because excellence is not one solitary act. It's a habit. Mr. Toastmaster.